Hello, this is the Conduit, and I'm co-conscious with Ichi right now, and I'm wearing this get-up to talk about altars. And I think it's a pretty good representation of non-human altars or animal altars. Now, non-human and animal are different because non-human you can have spirit, ghosts, altars, things like that. And animals, of course, animal. I do not have any animal altars, but I do have non-human altars. Actually, all three of mine are sexual demons called incubi, which is the plural for incubus. And if you still don't know, like, what the heck is she talking about, you probably heard the word succubus before, which is the female version of an incubus. She's a sex demon, and they're called succubi, plural. Succubus and succubi. And I have a little terrible looking script here because I tend to get off topic, and I wanted to stay on topic for this video because it's very interesting hearing about all the altars that you can have. So, do you have altars? Do some of these ring a bell? Or, you might hear one and you're like, oh my goodness, that's it. That's my altar. And I had that same realization when going through this list. And sorry if you can see my bra. Oh, that probably messed up the mic. I figure it covers more than most bathing suits, so it's nothing to freak out about. Let me make sure all this is away from my mic so I don't mess up the whole video. But I believe all of these, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but all of these altars are mentioned in the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. And first I'm going to mention two parts that all altars can be labeled as. ANP, which is apparently normal part, and EP, which is emotional part. ANP is also kind of another word for host, and they can have multiple different roles and may not hold trauma, whereas EPs, emotional parts, hold trauma and kind of can be stuck in it, reliving it, and some are not even emotional about it, probably have a hard time expressing it. All altars can be labeled APNs or EPs. And the first one I'm talking about is animal altars. A lot of the time how they come into fruition is at a young age. I'll just say the host identifies with animals due to specific abuse they were put through. The animals could have definite genders and even present as human, and talk to other altars and all that stuff. And it can be, if you have an animal altar, it can be due to being, the abuse, being treated like an animal, forced to eat dog food, put in a cage, things like that. Very serious. So, some, animal altars might be like, she's like a fox, or she's acting like a dog, he's acting like a wolf. But I think it's important to note that it comes from a place of extreme abuse, usually. You're treated inhuman, ergo you feel like an animal. And also, I believe inhuman altars come from that too, because you're feeling like you're not treated like a human being. Now, the next one is one that kind of nail on the head for Ichi. Persecutor. Protective in a harmful way, usually. They have a distorted view of reality. And they may disrupt therapy, and they can threaten to kill the host. And they can also injure the body, self-harm, to punish alters. And, I've had personal experience with Ichi kind of going to town. These are, I'll have to put a trigger warning. These are cuts, and these are burns, 3rd-degree burns. And then I have a slice on this one, and we actually sliced our arm clean open, and you could see everything inside it. It was, I have to admit, kind of cool, but I'm in no way saying self-harm is cool or to do it or anything. It was an interesting experience, but, it would be better if it hadn't happened. And that's why I see him as a persecutor. He wants to protect the system, but it is in a harmful way, and sometimes he feels that the only way to escape pain, living life that's not as glamorous as he pictured, is death. And he does, unlike some persecutors, he does realize that, in fact, he is part of the system, and if he kills the host, he will kill everybody. But sometimes he thinks it's better off that way. They can be negotiated with, and kind of, if handled carefully, they can choose a more positive role in the system. Another one, moving on, this is already 7 minutes long, baby or infant alter. They're pre-verbal, which means they can't speak, and they're able to either remain or grow in age. Another one is a caretaker, a type of protector to help manage and care for everyone in the system. Maybe modeled after a real person, like if your mother took care of you or a friend. They lack the ability to care for themselves and get tired easily because they're caring for everyone else. Another alter is a child, often called a little, and they often hold memories of child abuse that occurred around the age that they feel they are, may understand long words and abstract concepts. And another one is core/original. Those are rarely used nowadays. They're usually called the host, which is labeled A and P, apparently normal part. Another alter is dead. These are usually hidden from other alters, and they feel that the abuse that they hold has killed them. Another one is demon, often created in a cult environment, may have been tricked into thinking they were possessed and ordered to harm others. Another one is disabled. An example would be the alter could be blind because they were ordered, they were being told that they didn't see anything, things like that. A threat. Famous people, usually a result of ritualistic religious abuse or a cult. They might think they're like Hitler or Jesus Christ. Another one is a fragment. It holds a limited role or job, they hold a limited role or job. Several fragments together could form a single event. Gatekeeper keeps traumatized alters from appearing and can hold memories or control which alters can take control of the body. And then there's the host slash fronter, has control of the body for the most amount of time, fronts the most frequently. ISH, which is internal self-helper. They have an extensive understanding of alters and what they do, how they are, and can do a good job explaining in therapy of, what's going on. Opposite sex, usually the idea of a young boy or girl, how they perceive the other sex at that time. All my alters are male. They're not exactly how I would perceive men or boys at a younger age. And maybe that's because they're demons. Who knows? Non-human alters, usually due to prolonged and severe interpersonal trauma that can lead to feeling less human, such as animals, demons, ghosts, etc. Found this one very interesting. Another one can be an object, so they can identify as an animate object. I didn't go too into that one, but obviously if it interests you, don't be afraid to research it. And another type is the protector. There are 3 types of protectors: fight, persecutors, and caretakers. We've already covered caretakers and persecutors. Fight is one with defensive intentions, despite often self-destructive behaviors. And fight usually refers to defense, not violence. And I think, protectors can get a bad rap and kind of get that incorrect view of being violent and scary when they're just trying to protect the system and the host. Psychotic is another one. Many symptoms appear psychotic but aren't in a lot of these alters. Things like visual and physical flashbacks can be mistaken for hallucinations. And, having an alter with a psychotic disorder is rare. As I like to say, it doesn't mean it's, extinct. It's rare. You can have one. And then, flashbacks mistaken for hallucinations can obviously lead to an incorrect diagnosis, mainly of schizophrenia. Robot is another interesting one I found. They're usually emotionless and carry out instructions. There's a sexual alter, used to hold sexual trauma. And in my opinion, they seem similar to fragments that kind of hold on to a specific trauma. A shell, which I've never heard of before, used to hide alters from the world. And what I got from this article is that they don't exist in DID, only in OSDD, previously referred to as DD and OS. OSDD is otherwise specified dissociative disorder, and it was previously referred to as dissociative disorder not otherwise specified. And there's an alter that I circled because it also reminds me of Ichi, internal homicide alter. A lot of self-harm and suicide attempts with both DID and OSDD are common, and they can be negotiated with, talked with, to have a more positive role in the system. Teen, child alters who have grown or alters created during teen years. A lot of people think that this can only, you can only have this disorder from childhood trauma, but alters can be created during different times in your life. I do believe that the disorder kind of has to be started in childhood, even if you don't realize it. I didn't realize it. I don't remember 12 years of my life, and therapists have told me I have, sexual trauma. I haven't dug into it because that's a scary thing to do, and I'm just not ready. But my alters kind of showed up during the time where I had a breakdown. They just seemed to become more powerful and present and take over the body, whereas previously they would talk to me. They were actually able to take over my body. And that was during, goodness, I was, I think 21 or 22, and I'm 23 right now. So this has been going on 1 to 2 years. And another one I circled, twin. Normally opposite in views and behaviors. Ichi and Chi-Chi are twins, identical twins, and they are very opposite in behaviors, where Ichi is kind of negative in emotions and behaviors. Chi-Chi is very positive and follow the butterflies and sweet like a little, but we protect him, but he doesn't really, he can function and fight on his own if he needs to, but we don't want that to happen to him. Now, the creation of alters. Created to either manage overwhelming trauma or changes in life that any existing identity or identities can't manage. Additional alters can be created by trauma in adulthood if the person already has a complex dissociative disorder. I believe mine come from a mixture of childhood trauma and definitely changes in life that I couldn't handle on my own. And additional alters weren't really created. The alters that I already have just seem to get supercharged and show up. I'll hurry this up because it's already 17 minutes. I wanted to make this video kind of snappy because a lot of videos on alters are very long, and I wanted to get more bite-sized pieces, but what you gonna do? So those are not all, but a lot of the alters listed in DSM. And never forget, if you can't point to one on that list and say that's definitely like an alter that I have, it doesn't mean that you don't have an alter. It just means it's not listed yet. It's people update things all the time, find new disorders and diseases. It doesn't mean you're going crazy. It doesn't mean you're wrong. The best thing you can do is, therapy, research from, research from, I think it's viable sources, just sources that you can trust. So don't like Wikipedia or, the one that doctors hate, WebMD. So don't just go to those sites and be like, oh, I definitely have this. It takes a lot of research and a lot of personal experience. And even if you're on the side of you don't have that much research, but you're going through a personal experience that you connect with in any of these videos, definitely, don't feel ashamed or like you can't do anything about it. I feel so